Good morning, guys. It's early morning in Sweden and my voice isn't worked up yet, so sorry about that. I thought just I should prepare a new journal cover before work today, and I put on the camera so you can follow me if you would like to. This time I'm going to use some faux leather. This is a kind of paper that is made from what should we call it? Smushed paper that you use in newspapers and thin papers, and then it's pressed together with latex, so it's almost like fabric. You can bend it and you can crumble it, you can't rip it. It's very strong to use and perfect to sew in. You can also wet it and make it look like old leather. So that's why they call it faux leather. You can make it look really old and use it as it is. But I'm going to decorate it, and I have printed out on these papers that are partly a part of textile on top of it. So you can put them in your printer and print out just as an ordinary paper, but this is textile instead, so just pull this off and you have a textile piece. And these are fun to use for covers and things like that. Want it to have your own print on them. So I'm just going to rip this off the paper, and now you can see it just perfectly look like textile. It is textile. So I have printed out a few of those. So I have decided to have this as a base on my front cover. And then of course it will be decorated with some more, but I like this light fabric feeling. So let's glue this down. Actually going to use a piece of this paper I just ripped off and make myself a little tool. So we can smear the glue properly onto the paper. I'm leaving a little bit on the edge because it always needs to be glued down properly again. So then I'm just going to put my textile try to put it straight. And now I'm going to go in on the edge and make sure that it's properly glued. I'm going to sew this later on, but I still want it to be glued. That's why I do this in the morning, then it can dry until I get home after work. So it won't be so long this morning, this recording. It's thin, this textile, so I can layer it without any problem. So I'm going to use. I'm just pressing it down. A little bit more on the edge. I think that's enough. Then I'm going to take my scissors. There we go. And I'm just cutting off the excess. And I'm saving it, of course. That's perfect to use in some other project, that little text piece. We are, I'm going to use, I did some more eco dyeing yesterday. And this time I ripped the paper. So they are a bit wild. So I'm going to use a few of those, and I also made textiles in between the papers. So we will probably use pieces of those too. And I'm doing this the same way as the paper. I'm just layering between the papers when I eco dye. Then I get print on textile too. So on the other side, I'm going to just continue with this text. So it will be text on both sides. It's a bit fiddly with this thin textile. I'm just going to let this overlap. Going to cut off this white piece on the edge. And before I press everything down, I'm checking so it's kind of straight. Something like that, and then we are trimming the excess off. I like this. It's really have this nice feeling when you, when you have a textile feeling of the, instead of paper. Okay. And on the inside I want some 100% linen. So I have just taken a piece of an old I have washed this linen so you get this old feeling. So doing the same thing, gluing it down. Let's splash out the glue. I'm using my bookbinding glue. And that's perfect for everything. You can use it on textile, paper, plastic, leather, and it will stick. I'm just going to flatten this out. I could have ironed it, but I like this feeling of a bit rough, and it looks more used and old when it's not so perfect. It should tell that it's handmade. Bit more on the edges. I will for sure have something more layered on this later on, so you don't need to be so precise in on the edges and in the corner. We will sew and we will layer more things, so just as a base, so you have something to start with. And it's easier to sew it and work on it if you have glued everything on the edge. So we have our cover in progress. And our pages. It will be other things between this, textiles and other printed paper. But I like to use these originals and play with them in the journal. So now I'm going to leave this to dry until I get back from work today. And then I will sew it and figure out if there is something more I want to do before we put in the pages. So then after the pages is in, we will cover this with another piece of something more. So that's why I'm not so neat about this piece. I just put it on top of each other and layer it. It became stronger, and we are going to cover pieces of it anyway, so that was the start of the new cover. If you want to follow me, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already made that choice. I would appreciate that. Off to work, and see you soon again. Until next time, bye bye from Sweden.